Hello, my name is Omar,
I'm Nick.
and welcome to Smarter Sundays, where we pick a new topic every week. This topic will be about the Microsoft acquisition of Activision. So I'm gonna start us off real quick. As you all know, a while back, Microsoft bought Activision for $68.7 billion, which is a lot of money, obviously. Um, which means that they now own a lot of games and a lot of companies at that. They have a lot of small acquisitions over time, and you'd be surprised at what they own. Now with that, they own Call of Duty, which is great because Activision's handling of Call of Duty hasn't been all too good, due to the fact that they were doing it mostly for money. So maybe we'll get better Call of Duty games out of that. Actually, one of the biggest blunder with Activision and Call of Duty is the anti-cheat that they're using. Ricochet, as it's named, was released at the time of Vanguard's release, but it was leaked to hackers before Vanguard's release. So now they basically have a backdoor access to it. It's actually really funny how that happened. Some people speculated that Microsoft or Activision might have done that on purpose, but I mean, it has been done on purpose before to leak games and stuff before it's officially released, as a way to try to stop hackers. Like Game Dev Tycoon, they actually released their own version of a torrent for people pirating their game that changes the game very slightly. It adds pirates to the game, so after a couple hours of gameplay where you get a really good and big gaming company, you start losing money because instead of people paying for the game, hackers torrent the game and you don't make much money from it, and you slowly just dwindle money over time until you give up. They actually then have made it an official game mode you can turn on. I think it's called piracy or something. So with the Microsoft acquisition of Activision, they now add Call of Duty, most of them, and a lot of games under their belt. Another thing that they also own that I didn't realize they owned, which I could go through the list here, and they own a lot of games. So they own Bethesda Game Studios, which are the people who made Fallout and Elder Scrolls. They own ID Software, which made Quake and Doom. They own ZeniMax Online Studios, which owns Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76. I don't know why you would want those games, but they own them. Like the good Fallouts, like Fallout 3 is actually really good. I played that one in a while. Well, my brother did. I watched him. It was like one of those things where I didn't play the game. I just watched my older brother play the game. And then Elder Scrolls is a great game. I'm still waiting for Elder Scrolls 6. They own Arcane, which made Dishonor, Prey, and Deathloop. They own 343 Industries, which everyone knows made Halo since the Reach time, which is nice. Compulsion Games that made We Happy Few, which I actually have played. It's very dystopian, very fun though. Double Fine Studios would made Psychonauts, which I just recently completed a whole playthrough of Psychonauts 2 for, which is great. Mojang Studios, which obviously owns Minecraft and Minecraft Dungeons, which has crossplay. I'm really glad they do that. Obsidian Entertainment, which made The Outer Worlds, which is a really good game. Outer Worlds was made by the original people who made like New Vegas and Fallout 1 and 2, and they wanted to make something like those again, so they made their own game studio called Obsidian Entertainment, and it made Outer Worlds. Fallout New Vegas, they made that too. Playground Games, that made Forza. Who doesn't love Forza? Rare made Donkey Kong Country, Banjo-Kazooie, and Sea of Thieves, which I haven't played Sea of Thieves in a while, but that's much more better with friends. World's Edge, which is Age of Empires, which I think my older brother used to be obsessed with. LinkedIn, they own LinkedIn. I didn't know that. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I didn't either. That's kind of shocking.
Yeah, like what do they have to know about jobs? They're mostly games. Well, they own Xbox. And they also own GitHub too, which is fun. Yeah, they're basically monopolying anything and everything. Now, the biggest reason why they mostly bought Activision is because they just like to actualize things, and Activision did have very heavy sexual harassment claims put against them, and because of that, their stock actually tanked heavily. It went from about $90 to $57 over the course of 5 months, which is when Microsoft started to buy Activision for this amount of money. Now, in relation to that, recently Sony has actually bought Bungie, and I think they're trying to do that to try to get some good public games under their belt, because as it currently goes, Sony doesn't have a lot of good exclusive like Microsoft does. Microsoft buys all the things so they can make it Xbox exclusive. But the biggest issue is the Xbox Game Pass. The Xbox Game Pass is $10 a month, and with that, you can get a really big catalog of games. So, Activision or Sony, they can't really compete with that. They can't put their games on $10 a month Game Pass type thing like Xbox does, because if they did, they would be losing too much money too fast. But Xbox can do that, and all the companies that they buy, they just put their games in the Xbox Game Pass. Now you might be thinking, well, won't Xbox lose money from that as well? Well, the secret is they do lose money. They probably lose a lot of money. I don't know the exact statistics, but it's more closely to what Costco does with their chicken. Costco sells rotisserie chicken for very, very cheap. They lose about $30 to $40 million in chicken revenue from their rotisserie chicken every year. Microsoft probably does the same thing with the Game Pass, but like Costco, who uses it to get people in the door and to buy membership, Microsoft uses it to get people to actually like get an Xbox Live and play the games and stuff. Plus, they can subsidize the loss of money with their other ventures. Sony makes consoles and games, and that's really what they're mostly known for, and some movies here and there. But Microsoft, they own like an operating system, multiple computers, multiple like game companies. I think they might own a film company. Don't quote me on that though. So they may lose money on the Xbox Game Pass, but it gets subsidized by the money that they gain from other areas. And they're doing that so that they can run out the business. Of course, we still have Nintendo, but Nintendo probably will never run out of business because they own Mario and Zelda, and everyone loves Mario and Zelda.
That is very true. You also have to keep in mind, Omar, they also have, with this purchase, they also have some sort of, like business into the mobile app world too, because they also own the people who made Candy Crush as well.
Candy Crush. I haven't played Candy Crush in ages. I don't like those type of games. My mom does. She loves those games. Those Match 3 games, it's her cup of tea.
There's also gaming franchises like Warcraft and Overwatch as well.
Wait, they own Overwatch? Oh, wow.
Those are fairly popular too, so you have to keep in mind what a monopoly this could create for Microsoft.
Microsoft is basically a monopoly at this point, but people don't really notice because they keep all the companies as separate entities and as them as the parent company. Actually, another fun thing that just happened is what was it? Alphabet Studios, which I think who own Google, I want to say, or own Microsoft. They're going to be doing a 20-to-1 stock split soon. Yeah, Google's parent company Alpha is announcing a 20-for-1 stock split soon, which might not sound too interesting, but there's many reasons why they would do this. Basically, each stock is only going to be worth about 20 to 1. That means each stock is worth 5% what it used to be, because they probably do that so they can get more people to buy the stocks, because the stocks for Google are very expensive. So if they do the 20-to-1 stock split, it induces more stocks before equalizes out, so it's the same value. Well, it means each stock will be worth less, but everyone will have the same amount of stock after the split. So, that would just mean that it'll be more susceptible for people to buy and trade their stocks now. Now, Microsoft technically isn't a monopoly. It's more closer to, I would argue, a duopoly, which is like two companies running the market. It might not exactly be two companies, but it's like two or three, so like it's basically duopoly slash oligopoly. I'm not good at pronouncing things, which isn't good for us because obviously to have a fair and clean market, we need competition, we need firms, and if we don't have a lot of firms, they basically can set the price at whatever they want because we don't have any other choice but to go to them for what we want. Now, the only thing that Microsoft really doesn't have is a decent game distribution platform, kind of, because the way they do their distribution, I find really annoying. So Steam is one of the biggest distributors of games for PC games, and basically when you buy a game on Steam, you buy the digital rights to that game. It means it doesn't matter where you log into your computer from. You can download the game on that computer and play it because you have the right to do that. Microsoft, with their Xbox, they do it differently. When you buy the rights to the game from the store, you buy the rights to play it under your account on that Xbox. You can transfer your Xbox around and stuff and get accounts and download them there, but you don't own like the full digital copy. They can revoke access at any time. They reserve the right to do that, which is really annoying. It's more like streaming, and they want to do that. They want to hammer down at that more with Google Stadia, where you don't even own the rights. You own the streaming rights. You don't even own a digital copy. You own the rights to stream the game, which is really annoying.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that.
Because I feel like I'm gonna talk about like I'm older. Back in the day when we had like GameCube and like the Visualizer 360, you had proper discs that had the game on them, and you can trade them around and sell them and stuff. With Xbox, you can't really do that. Oh, it's Stadia, you can't even do that. Steam, technically you can't, but technically, I looked this up. If you wanted to, you can make it so you can transfer ownership of your account to a next of kin, technically, but it's very finicky, and they don't like to do that at all, not even a little bit. So we're gonna talk about what they own again. So of course, Microsoft does own a lot of games. Now, with the state of Call of Duty in its current state, I would argue it's pretty bad, due to the fact that there's a lot of hackers in Warzone, and they keep releasing games that doesn't really connect with players. Like Vanguard Zombies basically remove everything that displays a zombie game as a zombie game. And there's even more hackers in there because, like I said, Ricochet got leaked. Now, does that mean we're going to get better Call of Duty games? Well, maybe. That's a possibility. They have so many game companies under the belt that they could probably find some good developers for Call of Duty. But I think the biggest issue with Activision is they were hammering home they were hammering home making money from like the shop and store and stuff, and that was the biggest thing. Like, I don't know how many. Have you played Call of Duty? You have. Okay. Well, you can say that.
Yeah, I have, Omar.
Well, I played it on PC, and let me tell you, my computer should be able to run it just fine. Like, it runs every game just fine. It has a perfectly good graphics card and all that. Yet Call of Duty still lags for me. It still lags and it still has hiccups, and I can actually get disconnected from games very easily. It's really bad. But on the contrary, Forza, which Microsoft now owns also Forza too. Forza, who was made by Playground Games. I played Forza on the PC, and technically I have a slightly less than par graphic card than what they want. The only reason why it's less than par is because they want more graphic card RAM storage, but I can put that thing on max settings and it runs smooth like butter. Their optimization is amazing, which is really good. Now the reason that is because Forza really is used to most likely programming for PC and not making optimizations for it. Call of Duty never really been a PC game. They always been doing it for consoles, and the way you optimize for consoles are completely different than the way you optimize for PC. Consoles, you already know all of the hardware, and you can use that to your advantage. I don't think Call of Duty does, but you can. There's also a thing where they would add duplicate files and multiple file locations in their file system so that they can subsidize the slow read and write speeds of the hard drive to make it run faster. In PC, you don't really have to do that, so it's very, very bloated because PC players are used to having less than like 60 gigabyte games. Normally, like 60 to 100 is probably the maximum you see in games. Call of Duty, the full install is about 180 gigabytes, and that's just for Modern Warfare. If you want Cold War, that's like another 100 or something. And if you want Vanguard, that's probably another 100. I don't know. I don't own Vanguard because I just didn't think it would be good. So they're very, very bloated with a lot of probably duplicate files and loose end files that they didn't delete because console players are so used to having like big games take up so much space. And it probably helps them run faster on consoles, but it hinders the ability on PC. Now, another thing to know is that Microsoft also owns Mojang and Minecraft. Now, with Minecraft has been getting steady updates for ever since it was technically released in 2010, I want to say. The official release.
Wasn't the official release 2011?
Something like that. I don't remember. But I remember it was officially released. And then when they have two versions of Minecraft. When Microsoft they really pushed Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Now, Minecraft Bedrock Edition does really improve the game in many, many ways. It removes a lot of the bugs from the Java edition of Minecraft. And it makes it so that you can have cross-play between PC, Xbox, PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, whatever. You can cross-play across everything. It's built in what engine? I think it's built not in Java. It's built in something else that is a bit more efficient, and they rebuilt it from basically the ground up. Now that is really good. Like, they've improved it drastically with how much improvement they put on it. But the issue is, and the issue why I don't like it as much as the Java edition, is because they put stuff that was free behind a paywall. For instance, if you wanted to change your skin on Java Edition, you just find a skin, you go to a website and click change skin. You want to get a resource pack? You go look up your resource pack and put in the resource pack folder, and then you can upload there. You want a custom app? Just download it and put it in your Warriors folder. Do you want shaders? You can do that on PC. Do you want mods? You can do that on PC too. All that's free to do on PC. Same thing with servers and stuff. In Bedrock, you want a custom skin? Go buy it from the store. You want a custom resource pack? Go buy it from the store. You want mods? I don't know if they have too many mods for Bedrock. I think you can make mods for Bedrock, but I think it's a bit harder to do because of the way it is. You want custom words? Go buy it from the store. Everything is behind a paywall, and I dislike that wholeheartedly.
So, Omar, let's just get away from PCs for a little bit.
Yeah.
With this purchase and them acquiring mobile apps like Candy Crush, what do you think this will do for them when it comes to mobile apps?
So, well, I don't know if you noticed, but Call of Duty does have a mobile app. It's a different server than the actual Call of Duty Warzone, but it is a mobile app. I personally have played it a bit, and when you play with like one of those like Joy-Con controller things, you can basically win every game all the time because everyone else is playing on their phone. It's not very good. Candy Crush is good, but a lot of mobile apps nowadays have turned from actually being good and fun to being freemiums, which is classified as free premium. So basically, they let you download the app for free, but you pay for it in some way. In terms, most of them, like, I have had apps where I wanted to like try a game, but like every 5 seconds it's an ad. Like, I do like 3 actions, ad, do 2 actions, ad, do 1 action, ad. And it's like, you want to remove the ads? Pay us $50. And like, why would I do that? I'll just delete the app and not play it. So I don't know what exactly that would mean for Microsoft. I don't think Microsoft is going to be making too many mobile ads.
Also, do you think with this purchase, do you think now that they own so many franchises that relate to PC and game consoles, do you think they'll go more towards mobile apps now?
They might, but I don't think they would, because I don't think it's gonna be as profitable as it is as making games and operating systems and stuff. Mobile apps aren't as profitable as people think they are, because out of everyone who plays your game, only about 1% of them will ever buy in-game purchases. And only about like 1% of them would only ever make purchases over like 100 or 200. I did hear in Genshin Impact, someone spent $1,000, and he thought that was a lot. But he wasn't in the top 1% of people who spent money in that game. He was not. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying that I didn't spend money in games before. Trust me, I have. It got me in trouble one time, but that's a story for another time. Back when I was younger, it's fine. But I think the biggest game I have spent money in is GTA for the online, for the shot cards. I spent like $100 to get some in-game money. And actually, let's talk about GTA for a bit, because I don't like that game. Mostly because it's a lot of hackers now. GTA 5. There's a lot of hackers now in the online servers. Not only that, GTA failed to do the one thing that every other like big multiplayer thing that has money does: prevent inflation. GTA is hyperinflated for everything all the time now. So it used to be, back when GTA 4 came out, like $1 million was a lot of money. Now $1 million is like basically nothing. You need like trillions of dollars to have technically a lot of money in the game now, because things just progressed over time with hyperinflation and all that. It's weird that games can have hyperinflation, or can emulate real world events. Like RuneScape, back when it first came out, like something was like maybe like 3 coins. After a while, it became like 20, 25 coins. Inflation's in every popular game that has a public trade market. That's very important. If you have a game that just has NPC trade markets, you're never going to get inflation, because all those sets are set by NPCs and they're never going to change their prices. But when you have an auction house or something that can publicly trade, those prices are going to fluctuate and most likely increase over time as people... Because in games, you get money for doing basically anything, and it comes out of thin air. So it's basically printing money all the time. So that's why RuneScape, like something that costs 3 coins out of 25, is because everyone has a lot more money now, so money isn't as valuable. And they do try to stop it. Like World of Warcraft, they hire on like a full-time economist to monitor the market and try to figure out ways to actually get rid of a lot of excess money. Some of it is NPC shops, because once an NPC has money, they don't spend the money, so it gets removed from the market. Another thing, they have some sort of sinkhole, like a casino. Casinos, they're a great way for players to spend money and get basically nothing in return, and it's fun most of the time, as long as it's not real money. So with World of Warcraft, they also emulated what?
I think that you want to take a break.
Yeah, I'll do one second. World of Warcraft also emulated the global pandemic as well, because I know that sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but they did, okay?
How so?
So this was a while back, they released a new dungeon, and the final boss had this special effect called Corrupt Blood. This effect is very simple. They would have cast it on a player, and they would slowly lose health over time, because, meant to be, something that you had to mitigate throughout the fight. Anyone who got close to you also got the Corrupted Blood. Now, when you leave the dungeon, it wipes the effect, so it doesn't leak out anywhere. But there's a hunter class, where you can summon a pet during combat. The pet can also pick up Corrupted Blood. But when the pet leaves the dungeon, it didn't wipe the effect. So the next time the hunter took out their pet, it had the corrupted blood effect, would cause the hunter to get the corrupted blood effect, would then start to spread. It spreaded fast too, especially in like the higher density areas of players where people were just right next to each other. Now keep in mind, at the time this was like a level capped, like the max level dungeon at the time, but meant that the corrupted blood effect, a lot of high level players could mitigate the damage over time, but a lot of low level players would basically be dead before they even knew what was happening. And it spread wide and fast. Basically, they had healers trying to prevent people from dying, but then they caught it and died themselves. And it spread very fast, starting at the hot point areas and slowly spreading out to less dense and less populated areas. By the time, who made World of Warcraft? Who made World of Warcraft? Was that Activision? Give me one moment. World. So basically, over time, almost everyone got it and died. Made by Blizzard. That's who it was. Blizzard made World of Warcraft. By the time they noticed what was going on, it affected basically everyone. So they patched the bug, but what they had to do, they had to roll back the servers many hours because there was no way they can fix it. So they rolled back and patched the bug and made it so it never happened, which I find really funny. It's very interesting. We are going to be taking a music break now. We're going to start off. We're going to be taking a quick music break, and we'll be back with more about Microsoft in general shortly. Hello and welcome back to Smash Run, as we're talking about a new topic every week. Currently, we're talking about Microsoft buying Activision. I'm gonna hand it off to Nick now, as he has some quotes that we are gonna be looking at.
So to begin, Phil Spencer, who is the manager of Xbox, had mentioned in an article that I was reading, together we will build a future where people can play the games they want virtually anywhere they want. And so the real question here is, what could that possibly mean going further?
Well,
Omar, what do you think?
Here's the issue with that. Google Stadia, like I mentioned earlier, Google tried to do a streaming service where you can stream games. It's even on computers that don't have good specs, just streaming it. But as far as I know, that basically is not doing too well. I actually did try Google Stadia when it first came out, and I was very disappointed. They only had like a handful of games, and then in that, only a handful of games I would want to play. So this library wasn't big. I'm not sure how much has changed since then. It could do like the No Man's Sky thing and just somehow get magically so much better over time. Have you heard about No Man's Sky?
No, not really.
When that game first got released, it was terrible. They promised so many things and delivered on none of them. The game tanked. And then, they started actually working to add in things they promised. And now it's actually not that bad of a game. They actually added everything they basically promised. But going back to that, I don't think streaming games is gonna really take off. And I think it's for the sole reason of people like to own the things that they buy. In Stadia, or in any streaming service, you buy the rights to stream the game. You don't own the game. You own the rights to stream it. And people like to have the rights of their games. They like to be able to do stuff with it, you know? Like, the right to repair has been going at it for years now because people want the right to repair their own things that they have legally owned. So, of course, people want to be able to actually own things and be able to interact and do things with their own thing without getting repercussions. What do you think it means?
Going back and looking at it again, originally like what I thought would be what it could possibly bring to the future, but now looking at it, with them buying Activision, they also now own Candy Crush. And what I was kind of thinking is maybe this could also mean, if per se they get too much of a monopoly in PC and video games, could this also mean a hint towards they might be going into pushing more towards mobile apps after?
So if they were to, potentially, if they like start like basically having a monopoly in video games for like consoles and PC, but they don't really have PC too much. They do own a lot of games, but there's so many like small indie devs. They're never gonna own the full market on PC, and that's why one of the reasons I like playing PC games is because the market has so many firms in it that you can get really good prices and really competitive and really unique games because of it. In terms of Microsoft trying to interact with that market and try to become a monopoly, it's gonna be very difficult because people make a lot of different games and new ones come and go all the time. They do own a lot of the popular games, but I don't think they're gonna really dent that. In terms of consoles, I think they have that in the bag, basically all the way. In terms of mobile, maybe they'll try to go towards mobile, but like I said before, I don't think they'll get too much games by that because, like I said, only like 1% of people actually buy stuff in apps, and then 1% of them will actually spend more than like a couple $100 in it. So, is it worth it to them? Maybe it is. Maybe it is. But I really don't think they'll be going head towards mobile.
Because the other thing to keep in mind too is with this deal, it makes them the third largest firm in games. So do you think that could also be something like almost like a push towards is going for the top rather than staying in third?
Well, yeah, of course. Everyone would do that. Every company, athletes, everyone, they all push to be the top because, it feels good to be the top and you have a lot of control. Of course they'll be pushing to be the top firm. Who is the top firm? Do you know that?
I don't know which one is top, but I know they're behind Tony and Tencent.
They're behind Tony and Tencent?
Sony and Tencent.
Oh, Sony and... Tencent? I haven't heard of Tencent. What do they own?
I haven't heard of them either.
How are they number 2 when you haven't heard of them? That's actually really odd. Well, number 2 and number 1. Well, they probably could be like one of those parent companies. Like Google parent company is Alphabet? Which many people don't hear of, but they hear Google. So Sony is still doing good in terms of games. But I think Sony is losing steam faster than they can produce it, due to the fact that Microsoft keeps buying up all these things and putting them on Xbox Game Pass and making it very easy for everyone to play. It's giving them good traction, and Sony is probably going to lose that position to Microsoft. It might take a couple years or two, but I think it's going to happen because in terms of IPs that Sony has, they're mostly...
Sorry to interrupt you, Omar, but going into a little bit of research about Tencent, there is something that they have made that you definitely have heard of.
What is it?
Have you heard of League of Legends?
Oh, they made League of Legends? I actually never played League of Legends. I had someone explain it to me, and then it wasn't my cup of tea to actually play League of Legends. But that is a very popular game, so I can see why they'll be like number 1 or number 2. Do you have any other quotes?
I'm trying to look. No, I don't think. Well, these aren't really quotes, but Microsoft has argued too that buying Activision will bring joy to gaming community. Do you think they fully mean bringing the gaming to the community, or is it just another we're gonna basically try to gain a monopoly?
Well, they're gonna try to gain a monopoly. That's not a question. But in terms of them bringing joy, they probably will. Because let's be honest, I think they can do a better job at making Call of Duty than Activision is at making Call of Duty. So they'll probably improve the quality of a lot of the games that they bring on because they have the experience for it. With that being said, having a monopoly is also really bad in itself because having one firm, you can set the prices. Now, because Microsoft has been really going with Sony for years now, way back to when they first released the first Xbox. Do you know the reason why the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox had the Red Ring of Death and so many times and such big issues?
No.
Is because they had to push that out for a holiday release so they could match Sony's release date. Because they had to push it and release it at the same time Sony did so they can be competitive. Because if they let Sony do it and them missing that release date, Sony would have such a bigger lead than with them. So they had to push it there. And so a lot of the quality control and a lot of the parts they used, the design was very rudimentary. And so the Red Ring of Death, there are multiple Red Rings that you will get on Xbox, both the original and the 360. But the one we're talking about is the 3 rings, without player 1 indicated. That 3 ring is a Red Ring of Death because that means hardware failure. All the other ones will be fine. But the hardware failure, mostly due to heat, because they did not design it well for heat exchange, so it got hot fast and burned out a lot of units. That's why for the Visible Xbox they started offering a buyback program to where if you get this, you can just get a new one for free, and they released that for everyone, and they spent a lot of money on it. But they had to do that. They probably lost a lot of money on that initial release, but they had to do that so they can get their foot in the door as a proper competitor to Sony. Now, with that being said, like the original Xbox and Xbox 360 that we had, I actually got... That thing lasted a while, like, because I didn't even know a lot about these problems until way after, because the ones we got were somehow really good at not breaking. Like, the Xbox 360 that we had, I may have hit a chord of the controller, made it fall into the floor, like, 3 times. At least a good, like, foot and a half. And it still was going great. It had 0 issues. It was amazing. Even the game that was inside the cartridge didn't break at all either.
Interesting. But I had another question for you, Omar.
Mm-hmm.
So, with how you mentioned about how Microsoft and all of the release dates and everything, do you think buying Activision could have been a reaction to how popular the PS5 was this past winter without Xbox releasing anything?
So, I think most likely, yes. The PS5 has really outperformed a lot of the metrics that typical gamers go for. And Xbox not releasing anything probably dampened their thing. But, I think the main reason why they bought it is so they have those IPs. Because the main thing is, Call of Duty is a very big IP. They make so many games. Like, I remember playing the first Modern Warfare back when I was younger and watching my brother play it. And then playing multiplayer maps where he would shoot us through this wooden wall so that he can get an achievement so he can unlock a skin, which is very fun. I remember that. And it was really fun. It was great. But the thing is, those games have progressively gotten better and then I feel like gotten worse. But I think that happens with any game series. Like, look at Halo. It was going really good, then it got worse again. And then I think it's starting to kick back in. I think Halo Infinite really helps it. So Call of Duty was going great, and then it started to go down again. Then they brought it back with Call of Duty Cold War. That was a great release. And then Vanguard, and everything went down again. Because I think, even though the release... It's because they really want to release it one Call of Duty like every year or 2, which is a really bad way to release games because it forces pushing undeveloped and very unoptimized games. Like, there have been multiple times in Call of Duty Cold War where I have lost connection and lost my save from the campaign just because the game decided to be like, yep, not working today. But I think they really did it so they can have a big IP under their belt. I mean, they do own Halo, which is a big IP, but they're trying to get more big IPs that people know. Because if they can get those, they can actually compete with Sony's IPs that they own.
So then the final quote or statement that I have here is, Microsoft CEO argues that buying Activision will help build the metaverse. What does that mean to you, Omar?
Would you be able to repeat that one more time?
Microsoft CEO argues that buying Activision will help build the metaverse. What does that mean to you?
So, I'm not too sure because I thought the metaverse was by Meta, formerly Facebook. But I don't know who owns Meta. Well, Meta is the parent company of Facebook, technically. And Facebook has been renamed to Meta because they're trying to push for the metaverse. And they're trying to push for the metaverse. And make it like a popular thing. They are really heavily pushing for it. I don't think the metaverse is really going to take off at all, though, due to the fact that I just don't think they're doing it in the right way. Because I think the main thing is that Facebook and Metaverse has such a negative connotation right now due to the fact of the lot of the allegations and the suits that have been brought about Metaverse and Mark Zuckerberg in multiple times. So I don't know. I don't think there's anything to do with the Metaverse, and I don't think the Metaverse is going to be taken off anytime soon, though.
Yeah, so through some research, it does say Facebook docked its claim to the Metaverse last year, but it's not necessarily owned by Facebook because it also states that Google, Microsoft, and Apple have also been working on Metaverse-related technology.
Oh, so it's like a multiple shared project they're all working together on. Okay. I only ever hear of Facebook and Metaverse, though. I never hear of Apple or Google or whatever. So this might be, well, it might be a way to do that into the Metaverse because it would look at Half-Life Alexa. Half-Life Alexa, which is the latest release in the Half-Life series. It was released to VR, okay? And it done great because before that, all the games up to that was pretty not good. Well, they were good, but they weren't in VR. This one was the first one that was released in VR, and people loved it. So maybe it's a way to get some sort of IP and be able to transfer that to a VR experience, which I think could work.
And then one other question for you, Omar. Going back to the basic overall main idea of this conversation about how Microsoft bought Activision, do you think following this, it says Sony had bought Bungie for $3.6 billion. Do you think this could have started a chain reaction of major gaming companies buying smaller?
Yeah, for sure. So Bungie made some of the Halos, I think some of the lesser known Halos, and I think because Microsoft bought Activision, Sony wanted to buy something else too, because they probably felt threatened by Microsoft buying such a big IP and a big company with the biggest IP. So they probably bought Bungie as a response to that, to be like, hey, we're still here, we're still better than you. So I think it was a reaction. Will this cause a chain reaction of a lot of big companies buying smaller companies? Maybe, maybe not. It really just depends. Because bigger companies buy out smaller companies all of the time. And it happens all the time. This is the one time we have a couple big companies buying out each other. Would they do that just because Microsoft did Activision? Yes, they most likely did it just for that. Just so they can buy something too and be in the news as well. Because with the news of Microsoft doing this, they get a lot more publicity than Sony, which means they are going to be getting a lot more well known, and Sony probably doesn't like that because they want to stay in top place.
Yeah, I agree with you because I kind of feel like, too, with Sony releasing the PS5 in the past fall, they were in the news. They had their name in the news for a while. So coming off with like a major deal like this, it kind of was like possibly if you think about it, could have made them upset, saying like, oh, Microsoft's now in the news, like we want our spotlight back. Yeah,
but it could also have a slightly negative effect with Sony because it could just be trying to ride the publicity of Microsoft so they can get the Microsoft spotlight back, but it could also have the opposite effect if people figure out that. Do I think anything's going to come of Sony buying Bungie? No. I don't think anything's going to come of that. I think they bought it just so they can be in the news. Microsoft buying Activision, they probably did it so they can get Call of Duty. In terms of Bungie, though, I don't know too many other games they have released besides some of the earlier Call of Duties helping it out. They might have did some of the earlier Halos as well, but don't quote me on that. So I think the buy now should be fine. Do you think Nintendo's gonna buy anything anytime soon? Probably not. They're not really into the market. Like, notice how like Microsoft and Sony are buying things. Nintendo has been really not doing much of that. Do you think they have anything? Do you think they will be buying something because of this?
Not. I could say it could go either way, because I feel like because of how, even though this wasn't really that recent, I kind of feel like with their release of how back years ago how popular like the release of the Wii and the Wii U were, following by a Switch, I kind of think they're in a good place where it's not necessarily needed right now. But I could see them possibly going ahead and making a purchase in the near future.
That is true. That is true. It could also just be because they are mostly for consoles and not a lot for games. Like they have two major IPs, Mario and Zelda. Those are the most popular IPs that people will know. If you say someone, hey, you know Mario? Yes. Hey, you know Zelda? Yes, of course. Everyone knows Mario and Zelda. They are very popular IPs, and they make very good consoles, in my opinion. So I think they're more in it for the consoles and less in it for trying to buy out other things for the IPs, which I think what Microsoft and Sony are doing.
So I actually just found out something interesting, Omar. So Sony buying Bungie actually does give Sony the rights to a pretty well-known game.
And what game is that?
Have you heard of Destiny?
I have heard of Destiny. I heard Destiny is a really good game. I forgot. I didn't know they made Destiny. That's okay. I can see that.
Yes, Bungie has made the Destinies. Also has made Halo Combat, Halo Odyssey, and Halo the Master Chief Collection.
Oh, it's actually called Halo Combat Evolved. Excuse you.
Okay, I don't play as many games as you do, Omar.
It's Halo Combat Evolved and Halo the Master Chief Collection, which is a collection of all the original Halo games up to Reach with Master Chief in them with multiplayer. It's actually really cool. My biggest issue with that is that the PC cannot be cross-played multiplayer or campaign. Cannot be cross-played campaign with consoles. You can do it with multiplayer, but not console, with not campaign, which I find really annoying. So yes, they do own a lot of a few decent stuff. Now, I haven't personally played Destiny. Have you played Destiny?
I actually have, but I played it back when they came out back in 2000, when the first Destiny came out in 2014, and then when Destiny 2 came out in 2017. But I haven't played them recent enough to like really have an idea of like what like the game actually is about.
All I know is that the game is very popular, so maybe they'll do something with it. Maybe they'll release a new title. But in terms of, I don't know when the last Destiny was released. Like I said, I haven't played Destiny. If you look that up for me, please, thank you. We can see.
I know I know Destiny was 2014. Destiny 2 was 2017.
2017. Is that the latest one, Destiny 2? Okay, well, he's looking that up. We can continue talking about Destiny. So maybe they'll buy it and maybe release another game, and I'm sure it could probably be good. If they have Halo, if they have Bungie now with Halo and stuff, they can make a decent story. Especially with Reach, because Reach I think had a good story. Though Master Chief wasn't the main character for Reach, I don't think that's in the Master Chief collection. But I think a good story could work. Have the date?
Destiny 2 actually wasn't the most recent. It was followed by Destiny 2 Shadowkeep in 2019 and Destiny 2 Beyond Light in 2020.
Oh, so they released one about a year or two ago? Yeah, year.
About 2 years ago at this
about
point,
2
probably.
years ago, which isn't bad. So maybe they'll buy it and release another one, and maybe, who knows, maybe with that game, maybe they can use some of their other companies to make a really good story. Because I do remember hearing that Destiny has a great story. Unfortunately, like I said, I haven't played them, but I have heard they have great stories.
From what I remember from when I played it, yeah, it was.
Yeah. And so,
Good.
if they were to release another Destiny, it would have to have a really good story. And, same thing with, like, the Halos. The original Halo, when they made them, they had great stories. Nowadays, the stories weren't as good, but I think Halo Infinite actually has a really good story, in my opinion. But it does get a lot of flag. I don't know the word. It does get a lot of hate because the Halo doesn't have the large set pieces that a lot of the original Halos had, because it's an open world game, so they can't really do that. It does have some decent set pieces, like some stuff comes in there, and it does look really graphically really cool. But people are saying that the story feels a bit more disconnected than what it used to be, and I think it's for one main reason. I think it's because they are making it an open world game. They are so used to having a linear story with linear levels with big nice set pieces and making like a theater like story, that when they try to do the open world, it's not exactly them adapting to the open world. Is I think it's gonna be a bit of a transition. Now, my actually biggest issue with Halo Infinite is how they're doing their seasons, right? Because season whatever season we're at right now, they don't have like the Forge pad which lets you make your own maps and stuff. They don't have that. They don't have a lot of the weapons and vehicles what people are complaining about, and they don't have co-op campaign or replayable missions. Now, they did come out and say that the weapons and vehicles are gonna be coming. I think sometime this year, actually. And same thing with the Forge game mode. And they're working hard on the campaign. The reason why they couldn't do the co-op campaign and do replay missions is because the open world aspect. That was the biggest issue for replay missions, the open world aspect. And same thing with co-op campaign. Now, I have saw online a glitch you can do to get a co-op campaign, but it's very buggy and it has potential to corrupt all of your saves, not just the ones in, which is not fun. But they are planning on releasing co-op campaign with replayable missions. But here's my issue with that: if they could be releasing that like sometime this year, maybe next year, when everyone already has played the campaign, are they gonna add like a new expansion to the campaign? Because if they just release the co-op, what are they doing? If they just release the co-op, you have the same campaign everyone already played, they're not going to want to play it again. It'd be much better to play the campaign with something new. And no one knows what's going to happen because this is the first time they ever had a campaign being updated at the same time as a multiplayer thing. Because they know what the multiplayer is going to be doing. You know, new battle pass, new weapons, new vehicles, new maps, all that fun stuff. But this is the first time we had, like, the campaign as a season. So no one really knows. And they don't think they have commented on that too much about if they added a new part of the campaign or not. What do you think?
I totally agree with you, to be honest.
Yeah, because if they don't release a new part of the campaign, it's not going to be worth it. Because as much as I want to play a co-op campaign...
yeah, I feel like with any game, it's like if you keep sort of the same ideas, same missions, like, and just keep reusing it, it's gonna, like, lose your popularity. And eventually, like, sort of have people head to other games, like, per se. Let's use Destiny, for example. If, like, Bungie and Sony were to keep reusing the same missions in Destiny, it would... most people would be like, okay, this is kind of boring. I'm gonna go play COD or something.
Yeah. Now, COD is a shooter. You get guns, you can shoot people. Very simple concept. They do a decent job at it. Now, in terms... One of the other things that Halo Infinite also did that was not in Halo other games is it got a lot of people who haven't played Halo games before to play Halo. So it was very, very open to public. And one of the biggest people who jumped onto the Halo train to play Halo Infinite was people who play COD and Battlefield. Now, I don't know if you play COD or Battlefield, but the time it takes to... The damage it takes to actually kill someone, or time to kill, was very short. But in Halo, it's very long. You gotta be more strategic about it, and people complained about that. Which I don't think they have any right to, because it's not part of Halo's thing to do that. It's more of strategic gunplay than just fast gunplay. So, do you have any other quotes there at all?
No, those were the only ones I found.
Alrighty. We are going to be taking another music break, and then when we come back, we'll be talking more about this. Alright, welcome back to Smarter Saturdays, where we get a new topic every week. I'm Omar, and we currently talking about Microsoft Activision, or Microsoft accusation of Activision. That's what I keep trying to say, but I keep screwing up the words because I don't know how to speak sometimes.
Omar, it's Sunday. You're good.
Yeah, it is Sunday. So we have actually looked into what Nintendo has been talking about with this whole acquisition thing, because they are also one of the big players in this market, so we really want to hear what they have to say. So Nick has some stuff he's going to be talking about, so I'm going to bring it off to Nick now.
So, through some research, as quote, it says, "We view Nintendo as a singular entity because of its games share such singular qualities. Zelda, Mario, and Metroid may feature vastly different gameplay and art styles, but they will feel like Nintendo but they'll feel like Nintendo games thanks to their quality and craft. Nintendo games are classic and creative, fun for families and veteran players alike." With that being said, how I feel is with companies like Activision, Microsoft, Sony, they're all more towards like future war, like just like fighting, everything like that. So I kind of think what makes Nintendo so unique and would be hard for any major gaming company to buy them out is the fact that like they're more aimed towards like family friendly and such. So like they're unique in that aspect, and I feel like if you were to buy that out, you wouldn't really have as much competition and such. What do you think, Omar?
So they are very family friendly, and a lot of the games are. I don't think Nintendo will ever be bought out because I don't think Microsoft and Sony really releases family friendly games too much anymore. They release a lot of mature games, and I really think that Nintendo probably doesn't feel threatened by them at the moment because their main demographic is family friendly, and they have that in the bag with like all of the games and all the consoles they released are all really good, and they're all for the family. So I think they are gonna be doing pretty great. They have Animal Crossing too, which is so nice. Actually, Animal Crossing we just got an update where it added a couple more things, which is cool. So it released a new spark for people to play Animal Crossing again. What else? Well, with the Nintendo, did Nintendo say anything specifically about it at all?
Not that I managed to find.
Alrighty. So they probably just don't even care at this point because it really doesn't step on their market all of that much.
Well, you also have to consider too, they just released another version of the Switch in 2019, so like a lot of their
With the OLED, right?
Yeah. A lot of their virtue too is coming in from the release of the OLED and all the games that can be played on the OLED. And like it said, like their gaming experience is unique and family friendly, which you don't really see in games similar to what can be played on like Xbox, PS5. You really see more towards like battle and more sport related. With like per se like the Wii that was released in like 2005, 2006, you had games that ranged from sports, games that ranged from cooking. Like you got so much more of an option with those kinds of
Mama.
games.
It's the name of one of the games called Cooking Mama.
But like you got so much of a range back on like with Nintendo games. Like yes, they own Mario. Yes, they own Legends of Zelda. Those are probably their two most like well known. But with the difference I find between the two is the fact that like Nintendo, you have such a range. You really only have two categories when you go into Sony and Microsoft.
Shoot the bad guy. That's the only category they need or have. But here's the thing. Nintendo might start to feel threatened because Steam is releasing the Steam Index, which is a handheld gaming tablet where you can play your Steam library. Do you think that might be a contender for the Nintendo Switch?
I could see it possibly happening, but I wouldn't really say it's a definite.
Yeah, but then again, but here's the thing. Not only that, the Steam Index is Linux based, so if you really want to like emulate other games, I'm not saying you should. I'm saying it is illegal to emulate other games, but I'm saying if you do, even though it is illegal and you can get in trouble for it, I'm saying if you do, you can basically get anything else you want. It's Linux based, so if you want to make it into like a full-blown desktop, you can. It's actually really cool. And it's really nicely designed. Though, unfortunately, it has been pushed back. And I'm still waiting to when I can get mine. I'm part of the second run, I think. I think my friend got the first run, which is so lucky. So I'm just waiting. It's gonna be a good couple years before probably I get mine, but I'm so excited for it. It's mostly because of the internet, the shortages of stuff. How much do you know about the Steam Index actually?
Not a great amount.
Alrighty. So, one of my favorite. So, it's uses something called Steam Proton, which is a Linux based language that wraps their games, Windows games, into something that Linux can run, and it works really well. And they were really pushing Steam Proton to make it like very heavy and making it like work very well. And people were speculating why, and one of them was like making it some sort of handheld tablet, and they turned out to be right. They're making because they were pushing and doing amazing stuff with Steam Proton way before they announced the Steam Index. Because they were planning on using Steam Proton for the Steam Index to make it a Linux-based gaming system where you can play all of your favorite games all the time, anywhere you go. It is a bit bulkier than the Switch, but one thing I like about it, so obviously you're not supposed to open up the thing and edit stuff, but they show you how to like fix it. It's like, don't open this up, but here's a step-to-step guide of how to open it up safely. Because they know people are going to be opening up the index, but they want to make sure they don't hurt themselves with it, you know?
And I just found something else too that like will make it not necessarily seem Nintendo not being feeling like not really like insulted, but like give them like a scare in a sense. Because it says here Nintendo's unique. However, in that it is the only of these 4 companies that is solely focused on video games as its primary revenue source. The company produces Switch consoles and holds exclusive rights to some of the most iconic names in gaming, such as Mario and Zelda. With so many valuable assets to its name, it seems unlikely Nintendo would be open to a future acquisition. And I feel like with that being said, just the fact alone with like how it said the Switch is how they have just like so much unique gaming experience, I feel like just with them having that, like them being known for these unique gaming, it's gonna be extremely hard because the rest of the companies are like known for like Activision, which was known for COD now, which is owned by Microsoft, like Bungie now owned by Sony, known for Destiny. Like it's they're known for specific just war games. They're not known for multiple and have like that variation. So I kind of feel like just the fact that like they have so much variation and like having their primary revenue be these games, I feel like they're extremely safe for at least 3 or 4 years.
Unless, for whatever reason, the Steam Index gets released and seems to be much popular than the Switch in terms of anything else you want to do with it. I think the Steam Index might not be a contender for Nintendo, but I think it might be a contender for Microsoft and Sony due to the fact that it's basically a handheld gaming console.
Who do you think would be more likely, if per se it was bought out, to buy it?
But this Steam? I don't know who owns Steam right now. Can you look that up? I'm not sure who owns Steam. If they were to be bought out, I think they would be bought out by Microsoft because I think Microsoft can give a better deal than Sony could. And a lot of the games that people will be playing on this will be a lot of like shooting games and stuff, you know? So I do think that Sony or Microsoft will probably buy it out. If it does good, I still don't know yet because of it has been fully released. Linus Tech Tips was able to dissect it and do a playtest of it and stuff. And he said, yeah, it feels great, pretty good, all that fun stuff. He was checking thermals and stuff. Have you found out?
Yeah, Steam's actually owned by Valve, which were the creators of Half-Life, Counter-Strike, and Global Offense.
Yeah, I should have remembered that. Valve, I can't. Yeah, Valve made games, and then they made Steam, which is a platform for games. Now,
so do you think, if Valve were to release the Steam Index, would you think it would be sort of like giving Nintendo a scare to do a counter reaction?
If it does good, I think it will give Nintendo a scare and do some sort of reaction, but it's still all up in the air. I think it's gonna do fine. Will it do good enough? Maybe. I think Nintendo should be safe for now, but if this does good, they're gonna have some trouble in the future.
With something that you had mentioned, with it being, that's the real question though, Omar, is nobody actually really knows until it actually gets released. Like the point you had brought up though is, will it do good enough? That's like the actual thing that matters, because if it doesn't do good, Nintendo will be fine.
That is fair. If it just flops, I don't think it's gonna flop entirely though.
Yeah. So I kind of feel like it's like you have to wait for it to be released in order to actually see.
Yeah, but you can make speculations. Come on, speculations. That's all really fun. You can speculate, and I speculate it's gonna do fine. Would it hinders Nintendo? Probably not, but it could cause some trouble in the future. Because there have been like multiple handheld game tablets for PC released before, but this is one that was released by. This is the first one that's released by like a really big contender for that, with a really good option, your Steam library. Now, I don't know how many games you own on Steam. How many do you own on Steam?
Sadly, only Jackbox 8.
You only own Jackpot 8 on Steam. That's the only... That's the only game you own. I own around...
I know, it's embarrassing.
I think I own either 350 or 450 games on Steam.
How?
So the Steam Summer Sale releases a lot of good bundles. So it's cheaper to buy the bundle with games you never play than to buy the game outright. So I get a lot of games that way, and also a lot of them are just collected over time where I play a game, then buy a new game, then play a game, then buy a new game, play a game, buy a new game. Also, some of them are from humble bundles where the donation goes to charity, a different one every time. And it's actually really nice. Yeah, so it would be nice to be able to play those 350 games where I play like 2 of them actively. Actually, right now I'm playing Prison Architect, Stationeer, and I was playing Beholder 2, but I just finished that game.
I don't really know like how to react to that because I only own one.
Yeah, I know you only own one. Fun fact, one time I did a Steam, you can put in your Steam ID and then it evaluates your game of estimate value. Do you know how much my library estimate value is?
I'm gonna probably say hi.
No, I want you to make a guess, an actual guess.
Like 300? I don't know.
Look, a lot of the games, okay, most of my games were bought between 20 and 40 bucks. Some of them were above 60 bucks, not a lot of them. It shows you that's how social games you played and whatnot. But the estimate value was between $1,000 and $1,500.
Okay.
That's probably how much I spend in Steam games, which is a lot. I haven't bought many games lately. I've been playing a lot of the older games I have because I have a lot of them. Like, Prison Tech. It's actually really fun. Anyway, let's get back on topic now. The Steam Index, I can play all those games on the Steam Index, so that would be a great reason for me to buy the Steam Index, because the Steam Index, I think, is like $400. It's about priced the same as a Switch, but for me, at least, it has such big a variety of games that I would actually play. Like, for the Switch, I have, Mario Kart 8. You gotta play it. It's so great. I had a lot of the other Marios and Zeldas, but they just didn't really click for me. But having that whole Steam library at the touch of my fingertips, I can just bring around in my backpack, and it's like only like 3 to 5 pounds. It's not bad.
So I do have a question for you that relates to Sony and Microsoft. So as we see with the companies they bought, and basically them just coming out with new games of like the same sort of franchise, do you think that Nintendo will make the same move with their games like Mario Kart and everything? Because Mario Kart was used for the Wii, Mario Kart was used for the Switch. Do you think we'll see more of these chain games coming out?
I'm gonna be honest with you. Of course we would. I don't think that would be even a question. We've been they've been chaining Mario, Zelda, and Mario Kart for ages now. They keep releasing new Marios of basically the same thing over and over again. But the Mario Kart they keep releasing, they do add, the maps are really cool though. And I really do like Mario Kart 8.
Hasn't there only been 2 Mario Karts?
No.
Which were the other ones?
Okay, we could pull up a list of Mario Kart games. Because I think they released.
Mario Kart that we and Mario Kart 8.
No, they're not. There's not. No, let me. Mario Kart games. Let's look this up. I'm gonna give you a list of Mario Kart games. I should probably add kart in there. I just use Mario.
I think that would help Omar.
Mario Kart game list. Come on, give me just. I just want a list. Yeah, so they have Mario Kart Tour, which was actually a mobile app. They have Mario Kart Deluxe 8, Mario Kart 8, Mario Kart Arcade, Mario Kart 7. They also have, if I can scroll more, they have Mario Kart Wii. They have, come on, I want to see more of these.
Mario Kart Wii is the OG. It's the best one in my opinion.
It's not the OG. It's not the original. Not even close to being the original. Okay.
One of them at least.
So back in, they released Super Mario Kart back in 1992. Then they had Mario Kart 64 for the Nintendo 64, Mario Kart Super Circuit, Mario Kart Double Dash, which was the GameCube. I actually didn't own Double Dash, but it's actually a really fun game. Mario Kart, and then more Mario Kart DS, a lot of other Mario Karts, Mario Kart Wii, Mario Kart 7. Yeah, I know. So, yeah, they have a lot of Mario Kart games. I don't know why you only thought they started at Wii. They've been doing Mario Kart for ages. Double Dash is actually really fun. They added a cool mechanic of where you can have 2 drivers and you can swap them out, and they have ultimate abilities. Like Bowser has a huge saddle and Donkey Kong has a huge banana. It's actually cool. And the huge banana actually turns into multiple bananas when you get hit. It's fun. Yeah, so they've been doing Mario Kart for ages. Mario Kart will never die. Mario won't die. Zelda will not die. They keep re-releasing it, you know, and making new fun games.
So with your statement saying those games won't die, do you think we'll see any that sort of dull out from Activision, Microsoft, or Sony?
Any dole out? What?
Like any that like sort of just like become less popular, not really like talked about?
From Sony or Microsoft? See, here's the issue. Call of Duty is so big, it will never be not talked about. Especially now, it's getting a lot of negative publicity. In terms of Destiny, I haven't actually heard too much about that lately because I'm not in that circle. But I do think they have a chance of doling out if they continue to screw up Call of Duty. But I don't think they will. Yeah, but I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. I am Omar.
I'm Nick.
And this is the end of Smarter Sundays. See all you guys next Sunday, where we are going to be talking about tabletop games.